It's Thomas here. So today's video will be from Loic. Now Loic is a friend of mine who's got a chance to try a lot of products that I've been receiving lately. So recently Cayin sent me the Cayin CS-55A, 88A, 100A, 845A, and I lent it all to Loic to help me evaluate it. Now for those of you who have not seen the video on the Doge 10 from Loic, now Loic is somebody who's used to high-end audio. I mean, his own system is pretty decent. And he has experience with tube integrated amp. He used to own a Prima Dialog integrated amp himself. So I thought it would be fun if he just made a video to quickly share his impression of these Cayin. It's not a review, but rather just for fun.
And there we go. Be with you guys in 1 sec. I'm just got to finish taking Thomas's fingerprints off the tubes. There we go. I am here to discuss 4 of Cayin's integrated amplifiers: the CS-55A, the CS-88A, the CS-100A, and the CS-845A. By I mean discuss, I don't mean review. I mean literally just share my experience with all 4 of them. First one was the CS-55, which Thomas already put a video out, so I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. For me, I couldn't get the synergy going in my system with the CS-55. My fault, I should have tried with the KT-88s. I've only tried it with the L-34s. That's it for the CS-55. CS-88, the CS-88, which is this one right here, beautiful, just like all the other Cayins, very well finished, solid build, nice hefty unit. They weigh 60 plus pounds, this one, and the sound is actually, in my system, the sound is really nice. There's a nice sound stage. The sound stage is nice and wide. There's some depth to it. And it's got great mid-range, nice top end. The vocals in blues are delicious. They're wonderful. Yes, delicious. That's my term, delicious. I apply it to almost everything I like in life. Because to me, everything base starts from food. That's why I'm not skinny. I guess jazz, it's a little bit on the more on the relaxed side. Not one of those Miles Davis introductions. You know, when they start at the beginning of a concert, they go full out with the energy, and it's kind of telling everyone, "Come on, get up! We're here to have a good time." Not that much. I find it does better if you progress along the tracks in a Miles Davis concert. As you move along, there's a bit more of a mellowness that comes in, and there's a bit more emotions. That's it, emotions. I can see why Thomas, with the KT-88s, set up properly with a good match speakers with the CS-55, he got some good emotions out of that amplifier, because I'm getting it with this one. I really am. Wonderful amplifier. Now for the CS100. The CS100 has 8 power tubes and doesn't use the same preamp tubes as the CS88 does. So first thing that's apparent when you turn this on after listening to the CS88 is the energy. It's the CS88 was more geared towards emotions in a song. This one's more on the energy. It's a bit livelier. It's a little bit snappier. It's got more punch. There's a bit more sparkle on the top end. I find it seems to be a little bit of a sharper amp. The sound's got a bit more, and this, I'm not sure. I'd have to check with Thomas if these were broken in as long as the CS88 were. Maybe that could have something to do with it. Mind you, I've had it for a couple weeks now. I've been trying to listen to it every night for a good 4 hours of listening each day. Anyway. Yeah, so it's tighter, it's got more punch, but it gives away a little bit of that airiness and the soundstage and the emotions that the CS88 has. Now keep in mind, if you like listening to tracks that are far more dynamic and more, or that are busier, so more instruments, faster, this one I think performs a bit better with those types of tracks than for instance, when I would listen to opera with a big classical arrangement, this one performed better. So let's say if you had to rate it on a scale, the CS88 for the voice was up here. This one for the orchestra was just up here. It was just a little bit better, while it still did the voice just a bit underneath. So you could tell there's a difference between the two amps as far as the voice is concerned, but this is still very good. Whereas the CS88, when it comes to comparing the orchestra, couldn't handle it. This one can. Which one would I pick if I had to pick one? That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm a soundstage guy. So if I had to, I think I would go with the CS88 myself. That being said, though, I have friends that would strongly disagree with me that this is what they would want. Last but not least, also with all of the Cayin amps is, yeah, they don't auto bias their tubes. So what? This is the easiest thing to bias. It's quite simple, actually. You have the switches in the front to control each of the power tubes, and you have a switch in the back. So the switch in the back is to change, I think, the voltage from using EL34s or KT88s. So you simply set it in the back. And for each tube, the tubes are all labeled. You have A1, A2, A3, A1, A2, A3, A4 for the first side, and then you have B1, B2, B3, B4 for the other channel. So you just flick the switch and hold it onto the tube that you want to adjust. And on the part here, look, let me show you. It's very simple. You just take this, you go, I have the wrong bit. Sorry, okay, I won't be able to do it. Just kidding, you don't do that with a drill. You just take a little screwdriver and do the bias. You just do the bias adjustment. You make sure that the needle goes in the middle, and you do it for each tube. Voila, you're done. Now for the one I really liked, the CS845A. Yeah, that was the first amp that I experienced where the soundstage is not just in front of me, but actually came and wrapped a little bit to the side. This is wonderful. When the first time I experienced that, I was messaging Thomas and messaging my friends. I was like, "Is this real? Am I hallucinating?" And when my friend came over, he told me, "Oh yeah, spot on. I completely understand what you mean. It's like some of the instruments or the noises of the room or the auditorium where they recorded this track. You can kind of feel it on the sides of your ears. Just phenomenal."
I could actually see my speakers' personalities for the first time. So what do I mean by personalities? Well, so instead of describing this in audiophile terms, I'm going to describe it as though my speakers were people. It might sound silly, but hear me out. So I tried it with Harbeth 30.1s and Verity Audio Fidelio Encore. So let's start with the Verity Fidelios. When you press play or you drop the needle, Fidelios will politely ask you to get comfortable, but not too comfortable, as they want you to pay attention. It made me want a glass of subtle but yet refined French wine. Verity has a strange way of grabbing your attention, but without being exaggerated anywhere. The Cayin's mid-range bump, like the 845 does have a mid-range bump, which personally I love. I guess if I had to give pros to this combination was the acoustic instruments, the soundstage. The soundstage was deep, wide. It curved over to the sides, like I just mentioned before, of the listening position, and it's the first time I had ever experienced this. Then the Harbeth 30.1s. From the first minute, I was out of the analytical mode, as the Harbeths were telling me to relax, chill out. It was an overload of warmth and mid-range. But wow, did that make for a rich sound? It was too rich. I agree. It was like adding too much. It was like adding too much cream, or too much whipped cream on top of your cake or on top of your pie. I didn't care though. I had my feet up and I just kept smiling and listening to the music. So pros of that combination: the vocals made you melt in your chair. Cello. Oh, yes, please bring on the cello with this combination. Wonderful. The tonality that the Harbeths were bringing out with the Class A tube sound. Wow. And to my surprise, classic rock. But I think the rails here is what kind of made classic rock kind of possible. But even the old, really shitty recordings sounded really good here because it was so warm. There was grit. It was colorful. It was exaggerated, absolutely. But it was so much fun.
So which of the Cayens would I pick? As I said before, I think the 845A would be the one that I would pick. But let's not forget that it's also the most expensive one, I think by a few $1,000s. So the CS55 would be for emotions with efficient speakers. If you had to pick the CS88, it would be for the soundstage, the air, and the vocals. The CS100 is if you want power, energy, the CS100 will give it to you. And if your budget allows and you are not too finicky about speed and too much warmth, the 845A. Now, which one would I pick between the Cayin 845A or the Dodge 10? It's hard to tell which one I would pick between the Dodge 10 and the Cayin 845. If price is a factor, the Dodge 10. If the price is not a factor, I have a slight lean towards the Cayin 845A. But honestly, I'd have to listen to it again. It's been quite a few months, and a lot has happened since. And now that I have been made aware of the existence of the Dodge 10, I need to go back and listen to the 845A again to say who should occupy the throne in my room. Final question to end the video. Question is for you. Who do you think the best YouTube hi-fi reviewer is between Thomas, Steve Guttenberg, Ron from New Record Day, Sean from Zero Fidelity, or Little J?
Ron. Ron is the best.